Hi everyone, I just have 20 seconds for each slide, so I won't read the list of things that I do at Shifter, but as you can see I'm a kind of one-man band, but the problem is we have two bands. Shifter, as I told you before, is the smallest media group in the world. We have two magazines, one based on critical reflection on tech and the other based on local news, called Lisboa para Pessoas. I'm about to tell you the story of the first, since it's the original project. And just to tell you that before Shifter, it was called hype, and then we got a threat that will be fined in 30k euros because the name was already registered. So Shifter was born out of a threat, and a threat that makes us feel and think in a different way, each time more professional. And so I will share essentially our bad decisions, errors, and failures, and the story about how I ended up in this stage. Not to say that we are in a particular relevant position in Portugal or that we are rich. No, we are not. But we are in 12 years after our beginning, we're still creating and innovating and passionate about what we do, and I think it's a major win for our generation. We didn't start as a journalistic project, we started as a group of young people that wanted to do stuff, and we do a lot of stuff. Some of them really embarrassing. That's me acting as an actor for a TV company, promoting their TV box. And so we know that we wanted to do stuff and cool stuff, but some of them was not serious and sometimes it was really embarrassing. You can see this video on YouTube, please don't. But even though we were not doing really serious stuff and really great content, we attract some attention. We end up in stuff like TV, and we had a room in Startup Lisboa. It's like the major hub for startups in Portugal, in Lisboa at the time. They didn't know that we were there. When the next president came, we were expelled. But yeah, we have been there like for 2 years or so. We did partnerships with Uber, with our young faces. We covered tech conferences and all sort of stuff. But at the heart of our project, we know that we were not approaching it in the serious ways that we wanted. But people take us seriously, and we did a major crowdfunding campaign and got 10k out of the crowdfunding campaign. It was one of the biggest campaigns of raising money for independent media, but we didn't know how to spend the money, so we did a great website that nobody cared about. But yeah, we did a presentation for our website. It was really cool, and it had really cool functionalities that no one valued. And yeah, that was basically it. I ended up quitting my job and trying to find a new one, because the money was spent really quickly making a website that we thought that we would make for a smaller price. And so we ran out of money and were not sustainable, were just relevant for the people who were just known. And yeah, we were surviving, but we were not thriving, just burning out, as Peter mentioned. And that's why I got my mental health issues that I want to share with you briefly. That's why I was outside, not to get overwhelmed, because I suffer from anxiety, from all these struggles. And then came the pandemic. It was great for me because I was developing some kind of agoraphobia, so an excuse not to leave my house was perfect. So I ended up inventing more work and more unsustainable work, yeah? Congrats. So we did a print magazine amidst of a pandemic. Great idea. We did a podcast, and we did some mostly playlists. These were all fun projects to do and really engaging with our community, but as you can imagine, a playlist on Spotify won't pay your bills, and a podcast exclusive for people, it's not the best way to get subscribers, and so it still was not paying off. Until we changed our mindset and we stopped thinking as someone with a mission, as Peter told. We don't have capes, we are not part of a religious order or something like that, and so we ended up this position of we are serving the democracy, we are doing this for the common good, and we thought the reality, we are doing this because we want. Nobody has this too. And so if we want to do it, and we live in this capitalist world, even though we may disagree with the rules, we have to pay by the rules. We have to pay the rent. I can go for my landlord and say, oh, but you know, I'm a journalist. I'm saving the democracy. Can you make, and you know, rents in Lisbon are really skyrocketing, so yeah, we have to make it as professionals. And the question changed from what do we want to do for what can we do that is valuable. And this can is really a can. It's not want, it's a can. It's the limit of our possibilities, of our human possibilities. And an important part of getting the answer for this question was getting rid of our prejudices about what we are doing and what we have to do as journalists and how do we have to pose as journalists as like anti-money, as Peter was saying, and some sort of prejudices like that. And then came Plupro, and it was like a really great amount of money, even though it's almost half of the money that we got on the crowdfunding. Now we had the right question to answer, and we ended up approaching Plupro with 2 projects in 1 grant, and we did a text-to-audio version of our articles, because as I said in the morning, our articles are really boring, like 15-minute reading time and something like that, and people don't have time to do that or think they don't have time. And we did a great campaign of audience research, restructuring our subscription funnel. And we had great results. We did an open call for the audio format. We got more than 200 people participating in our open call. Even people from the mainstream TV and the mainstream radio sent their audios for us and asked for stupid prices for recording audios for Shifter. And in the audience research, we did really great job as well. We got more than 100 answers, and we could prove that our goals are aligned with what people value. But more than that, this grant gave us the opportunity to work with the right people. And the right people changed our approach. And the right people was the designer that we could afford to design the layout of our audio articles, that ended up saying, no, I want to do everything on Shifter. Please count on me, I will do anything you want. And we did almost a rebranding. And with this guy, which is a marketing manager, we don't care about journalism at all. And he's the guy that gets the kick when the money comes. And he's been proving like the most essential people in Shifter. So the result is not only to know what people really want from us, like the articles in audio or a geopolitical monthly newsletter, not only the designer that the designer did for us, that is really cute and people value a lot, but also the constant messages on WhatsApp saying we have to sell more, 1 subscription, we need to sell more, 1 magazine, and these changed our mindset as a project to be not only focused on money, but to give money the value that it has. Because without money, we end up burning ourselves, and that's not the plan. And so, even though we had this grant to do more, we ended up doing less. And we ended up publishing less. We publishing only 1 article per week. We embraced the video, even though sometimes it's cringe. I know my profile pictures in the social media used to be with the hand on my face, and now I had my face everywhere, and I'm scrolling on Instagram and seeing my face all over. I don't like it at all. But even people on the universities are calling us like an innovative project in TikTok, and we never thought about TikTok, and we never thought we were doing something innovative in this way. Because instead of focusing on creating content and doing the essays that we want to do, we try to focus on creating value and communicate that value. And we have been witnessing that the results really came when we started doing these, when we started doing like weekly call to action for people to subscribe, weekly messages that really communicate our value and not simply saying we are saving the democracy with this lengthy essay about big tech and so on and so forth. And it's easy to perceive this balance, or this try to balance between the stuff as a defeat, but for us it's like the only win that interests, because it's creating information products that resonate with others and that we know that resonate with others, and respecting ourselves, which is really, really important if you want to maintain the project healthy, because a frustrated journalist won't do good journalism and will always see the stuff in the worst way possible. So our sweet spot was found in here, between what we feel like to do when we feel we have to do, And when people like to do, yeah, but we still have to do some websites to get more money. And since, as you said before, I'm the webmaster, I can do websites, and so that's it. And for now, that's our plan. But just to leave you as a final message is, we use our print magazine to widen our audiences and to explore different topics. And the next magazine will be about food, which is really strange for a magazine focused on tech. And yeah, maybe it will inspire us, and the next year I'll be cooking the lunch for us and telling you something about the information that food can bring to the table. Thank you so much.
And yeah, like, I was really interested in the slide, like, talking about embracing the cringe, because we also have this problem that, like, we want to show more faces, put, like, content out there without faces, because of, like, the way you reach people nowadays. And right now, most of our team still don't want to show their faces. I want to ask you, like, it's just, like, new members, like, join you, who were, like, okay with showing their faces, or if, like, suddenly, like, your mind's changed and you somehow convinced people to show their faces more?
It's some sort of compromise. Since my face is public because I do a lot of workshops and public stuff, I just didn't want my face on the social media because I thought the kind of content is cringe. Like, we have this prejudices about TikTok and Reels and short format content. Me especially, since I write essays and really long and complex essays about great topics like big tech and artificial intelligence. But we had to make this decision, like, do we want to continue and have money to do essays, or do we want to protect our faces and not go through cringe? An important part of this was getting, like, the guy from the marketing part, because he also helps us editing the video. And it's really easier if you don't have to edit the video with your face and your voice and what you said. It gets really easier to, like, delegate this part of the process until it's published. And if you have, like, really cringe feelings, you can mute your account on the social media, so you don't see your face at all, but it's there and it's generating results, revenue. And so yeah, it's kind of a compromise of what we can do and we want to do. Because, as you told you, that's the way that people connect nowadays with media. And as Peter told us in the morning as well, faces are really important to humanize our projects. Thank you for the question. Another one here? Another one here?
Thank you for the energy. This was very welcome. My question is, since you decided to take it seriously, as you said, what have you defined for yourself as a measure of success for Shift?
That's a great question. The first part is that we don't compromise our existence. So it's really important to have, like, a clean balance sheet. We were on debt for the first years, so we can't even get a credit from the banks because we were in debt from the first years, and that's the first part of the work. And then, since we now can have, like, an editorial director, me that work as a CEO, the compromise is kind of a joint venture of these three visions of the project. So the editorial director has the editorial standards and guarantees that everything is according to our plan and to our values and to our core business, and the marketing guy says that we are able to reach the marketing goals or not, and me as the CEO has the final decision to put things on the line. But we count on our natural stubborn of journalists. For us, it's we can go always higher on the moral levels and on the deepness levels and all that stuff. So since we came from the other extreme of the projects, being, like, really rigorous about our content and our journalist practice, it's not difficult to reach the sweet spot. When we as a journalist sometimes end up giving up of this approach, of this more serious and professional approach, having some fears of dropping our values or something like that. But I think it's like anxiety. It's a made-up fear. We don't have to fear it. We just have to embrace it and to make the best of our work. Thank you.
Well, I think the last question, which I want.
Great presentation. I'm mostly interested in, like, data and, behavioral patterns of subscribers in Portugal. So if you can say like the size of your membership and like churn rate, you know, how long they stay, right? And if there's anything specific to Portugal audience that is different to other European audiences.
If there's anything different, it will be like a talk for 1 hour or something like that, because there is, and I can talk to you after this with no problem. But what we see, since we have two different media, we can compare the results, which is really, really funny. I was thinking about it this morning. Like the media Lisboa para Pessoas has a lot more viewership, like 10 times more than Shifter, but we convert a lot better because we are focused on value, we're not focused on scale. And the scale on the internet is dead because everything is scalable on the internet. And the human relation, as Peter, I feel that I'm stealing every insight from Peter, but he knocked it off. And so we ended up, I don't go to analytics anymore. We don't use analytics because we don't like Google, but yeah, I don't go to analytics anymore. The guy from marketing goes for analytics, but I don't, and I don't want to know if people are going to our website or not, because I think that's another common mistake from journalists and from solopreneurs in the media sector, is being obsessed with the analytics, and sometimes the analytics don't say at all. Because it's like, I studied marketing, I'm a marketeer myself, and it's like the basic principle of marketing. You can have profit by having a margin, or you can have a profit by having rotation. But if you have rotation, the price of your product has to be real cheap. And since our content is like long form, it's not cheap content, and so we are focusing on profit and not on margin. And so our print magazine has an interesting market cap that we can value on. And apart from that, one thing that is really valuable, and I forgot to mention on my presentation, and I think that every journalist should think about it, is try to capitalize and monetize your knowledge in another formats. For example, we have been doing workshops about artificial intelligence, and I've been doing like intra-rails in Portugal from north to south for different cities and councils. And that cities and councils wouldn't pay for advertising on Shifter or something like that, but they pay really, really well for me to be there like 1 hour or so, saying all that I know about artificial intelligence. And it is a great way to monetize our work, even though it don't show on the website or on the pages of our magazine. Thank you, and I'll speak to you later about the Portuguese.